the portal taketh. The
Ah,
portal giveth, but the portal, man, it taketh, and it tooketh D'Angelo Pons.
my boy, man.
How'd you feel when you saw that news?
I was pretty sad, mostly because they had made it through the initial Signetti wave with
Yeah.
keeping him, and it was like,
And
oh,
he
that's
never entered the
huge.
portal. Chauncey Logan entered the portal.
Right.
D'Angelo never entered the portal.
It was like, wow, I love that guy. And that my expectation in my head was legit that they would get him for his sophomore season and then he would leave.
Yeah.
It was not like, oh, he's going to spend 4 years in Harrisonburg. He's very good, but I thought he was like,
He's
yeah,
no Quinyon Mitchell, that's where real loyalty lies.
that's right. Quignon's the guy, even though Alabama, I guess, wanted
Tampered.
him. Yeah, we tried so hard to get him, and he just. But no, it stinks to lose Pons. It's a bummer. He's a stud. He's going to go ball out at a P5. I know a lot of people are hinting at Indiana. Maybe he goes to Indiana. He's going to get looks and offers from schools that are way more intriguing and better.
He's not
than
going to Indiana. He's not going to Indiana.
He'll probably get bags that are bigger than Indiana too.
I expect a high-end Big Ten or SEC school.
Would surprised, disappointed if he picks Indiana? Maybe a little.
I would be disappointed and surprised, like genuinely.
If he goes to Indiana, he's like a starter. I mean, he's good enough to start at like higher level.
Yeah, and I mean, Ole Miss has the JMU connection, and I know that's not really a real thing, but like Antoine Wells is there after a brief stint at South Carolina.
Yeah.
But Isaac Ukwu went there too, so there's some sort of familiarity. Ukwu never fully played with Pons. Ukwu was with the team for some of spring practice a year ago, and D'Angelo Pons was just I don't even know if D'Angelo Pons was an early enrollee, so he may not have.
I think he might have been. Whatever he was, whenever he got there, he was cooking. I can't remember if it was spring or something else. But
okay, so if he was an early enrollee, he may have had like a month of practice with Ukwu, so maybe Ukwu.
And they were holding Ukwu out of like most actual game stuff. So they probably weren't even like on the field together. But there probably maybe some connections there. He's gonna get, I don't know, he's gonna get SEC
looks.
offers, right?
He's gonna get looks. He's gonna get offers. He's being real quiet on Twitter right now. But man, it was a life of a G5 sucks.
It really does. It's tough. It's getting tough.
Like, can I just vent to you for a second? Can I just kind of what's the point of a collective? Like, it's retention based. We haven't retained anyone. We lost over 75%. And I keep saying I try not to. We call ourselves fanalists or whatever that is. I sometimes try to take off the JMU hat. This is full purple colored glasses. This is full JMU hat. It's Wheeze. It's everything. We have this collective, man, and it's retention based. And I respect that. That's a good way to do it when you don't have a lot of money. We lost our entire two deep. What retention is there? And I tweeted this. I get the answer is, well, you got to donate more. Why is it falling on me? And this isn't necessarily an attack on the Montpelier collective, more so attack on the collectives as a whole. Why does it fall on me as a G5 fan to support what these student athletes deserve? I'm not making the $1 billion that the $1 billion industry of the NCAA and college athletics is. That's college athletics. Why is it falling on me? It feels like there's never going to be an answer in the current landscape that we have, and that there's never going to be an ability for us as G5 fans, as a G5 team, to compete. It's just so bothersome. And again, I'm not upset at the players. Go get your money. Go get your bag. Get paid for putting quite literally your life on the line every single Saturday. Go get as much money as you can, because this game can end in one play. Like, go do what you need to do. It just, NIL was designed so players could go to the local car dealership and be the face of the local car dealership. NIL was designed so you could be, I love cookie skillets from O'Neill's Grill. Eat at O'Neill's. I'm D'Angelo Pons. Like, that's what NIL, in my opinion, was designed for. It has now turned into a pay-for-play setup that the fans are supporting. It's just so annoying. And there's no answer, because JMU doesn't have the boosters. Our collective doesn't have the necessary funds to retain these players when they're going up against actual teams. Curt Cignetti went and He has a whole war chest now at Indiana with the Hoosiers.
At
Of course.
Indiana.
Yeah. I don't know if that was sarcastic or not, but like Indiana, a historical doormat, has
Right.
millions of dollars in money to go poach players, and poaching they are.
If you want to donate to the collective, donate to the collective. I'm never going to yell and tell people to donate to the collective. I think your donations will be better off just to the university's athletic department.
G
That's
Club.
also the Virginia law is like going to change it so that you can kind of do that. That's sort of the way things are going. And I think the collective has built themselves that way. But JMU's collective, like no matter how much any fan donates, is never going to be able to compete with the Power Five, especially not in the short term. Like they're nowhere close to competing with the Power Five. So it's like, oh, you don't like Ponds? Leave and donate more is a crazy thing to tell fans because they're not even close. Like on Ukwu, I don't even know that the collective like countered.
They can't.
Right? There's no like. So
I
that's
mean,
the
I
thing.
imagine, and maybe I'm, and sorry to cut you off, maybe I'm being too pessimistic. I feel like the collective doesn't have more than $10,000 to give to a specific player.
I don't know. I mean, like they did that. I think I bookmarked it. They did the Chesney was hired. They tried to raise $150,000. Let's see if I did bookmark it.
Boom, boom.
Yes,
boom.
here we go. Okay, so I think the page is updated. So the goal was to raise $150,000 for the welcome Coach Chesney to JMU football. It's at $62,000.
Okay, better than nothing, but that's
Better
not
than
competing.
nothing. Good stuff, but like
That's going to Ponds.
Ponds is
That
making
and then-
more than $62,000. like you do a whole campaign and you're getting an amount that's not even going to keep your starting corner. So that's when I'm like, if you have $5,000, would I give it to the collective? No. And again, that's nothing against the collective. I don't think JMU is collective. I don't think there's anything anyone with the collective could do.
I think G5 in general, a G5
Yes.
collective.
I don't think there's anything you could do to compete with a Power Five collect. And I feel like sometimes JMU fans miss this where they're like, keep donating to the collective, because we want to compete with, Indiana. It's like we don't have a Mark Cuban. So that doesn't seem like a realistic, immediate thing. I think you should just like, I don't know, if you want to donate to the athletic department, do that. If you want to donate to the collective and it goes to some guys, maybe it retains like a role player or whatever. Great. That's fine. Do your thing. But I think a lot of it is just like enjoy what you can. And then you have to find coaches and assistant coaches who can recruit that lower level talent that wants to come up, but it's not good enough to go straight to the P5 and get them and develop them, which JMU coaches have done a phenomenal job of. And if they can keep doing that, they're going to be competitive nationally. You can be a top 25 caliber team. You're probably not beating like top tier Michigan or Alabama or Ohio State, but you can beat most teams outside of those like 5 to 10. And that's pretty cool.
And this leads me to the portal taketh again with Tyreek Tucker.
Yeah.
He entered the portal right around the time of the spring game. I believe the day before or the day after.
Yeah, it was right around the spring game.
Right around the spring game. He entered, and there was some fallout from it. He announced, specifically the fallout came from him announcing that he's going to Indiana following Kurt Signetti. I just really take issue, and this has ruffled some feathers in the past. I really take issue with like shots at student athletes. And people argue with it. Well, they're paid now. They should be treated as such. They're adults now, like all of this stuff. Sure. But I feel like you can still have some sense of like normalcy. You can be a normal human about it. You don't have to tweet weird gifs about a guy choosing to go to Indiana after his mother passed away. That's the biggest thing. Like also to act like Power Fives are somehow equal to JMU is insane. The facilities, the care, the food, the access to just not accelerated learning, but like the access to tutors, the access to mental health professionals, which is probably important in this time for Tyreek Tucker specifically. But like P5s are so much greater than group of five school. And like to act like that isn't the case, even if it is Indiana, Indiana's facilities are probably a lot better than the APC and what JMU has. And JMU has top of the tier group of 5 facilities.
It's so different. Like I covered UVA for a couple of years, and their facilities compared to their ACC peers are trash. And they're still like better than JMU's. Like they've got nice facilities. They have access to a lot of different people, performance people. Like the nutrition access they had was incredible. The dining hall just for athletes they had was really incredible and nice. I mean, they're like naming special salads after like Joe Reed returning kickoffs for touchdown. They're like Joe Reed Caesar salad today, and like doing all this special stuff because he like loves Caesar salad and making it exactly how he likes. Probably not happening when Pons like recovers a block punt for a touchdown at UVA. I don't know if there's like some special deep end meal for him.
Buffalo mash that week was called the deep end mash.
It's for everybody. But the access to like things at Power Fives is pretty cool. They've got great resources. JMU has a great thing going, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes JMU fans get a little bit too offended, especially because the portal does give back. Like JMU is going to field a good roster next year. They're going to get a corner in the portal.
That's why it's the portal giveth and the portal
Yeah.
taketh. It does take, but also JMU, they got Terrence Spence from Holy Cross. They're
Yeah.
going to get a veteran coach. They've offered like 5 of them.
I also don't love the stuff where people are like, "Oh, Signetti's tampering," and then I saw some other people. This one is crazy.
Every coach is tampering. Go ahead.
But then the tampering for like, oh, he tampered with Tyreek Tucker. Like, oh, he reached out to Tyreek Tucker after his mom died, and he thought that maybe he wanted to like. How is that bad? Like, he wants to go play for his old coaches who he knows well at a bigger school, like you said, that has more resources, probably to like some mental health, some other things. I believe his family was from like the Norfolk area. So I think maybe part of the reason he wanted to stay at JMU for as long as he did was because he was closer to home. And now he's maybe a little bit more freed up to go other places. I don't exactly know, right? He would have to explain that. But it's like, we don't know. I think that's the thing that bothers me. It's like, you don't know his situation. You don't know what he's going through. So don't trash him. Signetti tampering. I don't know how much he really tampered. I think his guys wanted to play Power 5 and get an NIL bag. To be like, I don't think he had to tamper to be like, hey, you can play for me. We're going to do the same thing. But instead of Georgia State road games, you're going to play at Ohio State. Like, that's cooler. Get out of your, like, take the purple glasses off. That's cooler. And then the final thing that drives me crazy is Indiana fans will be like, oh, nice, we got Tyreek Tucker. And JMU fans will be like, huh, you guys have to tamper and take it from a program that was barely out of the FCS, this little old G5. You're the same people during the season that are like, we belong in the playoff. We deserve access to the New Year's Six. We are monsters. The standard is the standard. And then when Indiana fans are like, oh, nice, we got a JMU player. You're like, oh, yeah, JMU player. We suck. We're small. What are you talking about? Some of the people, man, on the internet are just idiots.
These are the same people that say a lot of crazy stuff to us and say some insane things.
It's so weird to like have Jacob Dobbs come and be like, Jacob Dobbs, the class of college athletics, the nicest guy in the world, who clearly followed his coach because he loves his coach. And I know he was like out of eligibility, but what if Chesney took an assistant coaching job in the NFL? Guess where Jacob Dobbs is not playing, right? JMU. So you got him because
he's probably in the NFL draft.
Yeah, you got him because he knows the coach. Same with Patrick McMurtry, who's probably going to be a really good offensive tackle. Same with Spence, who's probably starting at corner. They've got Purdy that they can use on special teams, and it's like a backup running back or whatever out of the backfield in the slot. He can basically fill the Van Horst role that's now open. I don't know. Like, it goes both ways, and to be like so excited about getting that player and then being like, mean old Signetti players want to go play for their old coach. What a bunch of sickos. Listen to yourselves.
Also, Tyreek Tucker, there were some things. There are a few other things with him. Like, he may have been buried on the depth chart. We thought he was really good, and he could be very good. But also, depending, Terry Lockett, a Syracuse P5 transfer, came in. Emmanuel Bush is getting glowing reviews from head coach Robert Chesney. Very well, Tyreek Tucker could have been defensive tackle 3 or 4 and wasn't going to get the amount of PT he was expecting / wanting. There was also a very interesting interview like a week before the spring game where he was asked by Corey Spector, in-house JMU media, how are things going? Like a very, not necessarily pre-planned, but like Corey's going to ask softball questions. And the answer was, it's interesting. So there's just so many facets to this. And like Bennett said, we truly don't know. And at the end of the day, as Bennett is frozen here, NFL is the goal. NFL is what everyone's working towards. And JMU didn't have anyone drafted. Granted, I'll say this, neither did Indiana. However, the difference in the eyeballs and the exposure and everything that you're getting at the Big Ten level is just astronomically greater than what you're getting at the Sun Belt level. The Sun Belt had 6 total players drafted. 6. I can count them on one hand, plus quickly on another. If I had 6 fingers on one hand, I can count them on one. That's all the Sun Belt got. The Big Ten had the second most draft picks with 42. 42 guys was drafted out of the Big Ten. That's why, I mean, even if you're going to Indiana, this historic doormat, if you put up good numbers, you're more likely to get a last second shot. You're most likely to get, a day 3 chance coming from Indiana where you put up 10 sacks, where Jalen Green didn't get a single shot, and he's still currently undrafted. Jordan Travis out of the ACC, one of the worst quarterbacks in the Atlantic Coast Conference a year ago. He was drafted, and he may not have a right leg. But Jalen Green,
worst. The guy's a dog.
I'm trying to. No, he's not. But like Jalen Green doesn't even get a day 3 shot. Doesn't even get signed as an undrafted free agent because he blew out his ACL. And he had 20 sacks. Jamry Cromot didn't get drafted. He signed as an undrafted free agent. If he put up those numbers, if he put up half those numbers at Indiana, he's being a round 6 draft pick. Phoenix Sproles didn't get drafted, is still not signed. If he did what he did at Indiana, he's a day 3 draft pick.
Chroma he goes to like the East-West Shrine Bowl and was solid. His pro day numbers, he ran like a 4.77 at like 280 pounds, basically. He's a beast, started his career at a Power 5, doesn't get drafted. They haven't had a guy drafted since DiNucci in 2020. And people are like, you can go pro here. Oh, why would you leave? Why would you leave? Like, there's so many reasons why somebody would leave. It's way easier to go pro, not at JMU. And I think that's a legit thing for the program to break that cycle and send some guys.
Yeah, they got to break that. That is a very big thing. They got to send some guys
to the league, man. Marshall's sending guys to the league. A lot of Sunbelt.
Holy Cross sent more guys to the league than JMU this one year through the draft than JMU has in 2020, 2021, 2022, and now 2023 and 2024 combined.
Yeah.
Holy Cross.
Got to send some guys. I think Chesney will help with that. But again, with the portal stuff, it is tough. They're going to have some guys who were former Dukes, right? Wells will get there and some others. But it's like you'd ideally love to send some guys straight from your program. And then if there's somebody who's going into their senior year and you're giving them a little NIL money and they're like, I'm not sure if I want to leave. Like, I like it here. And you can be like, yeah, you can go pro here. Like one more healthy year and you'll go get a paycheck through JMU. They haven't proven that they can do that consistently the last few years, even with the FBS move. So I think that's a legit thing they've got to prove.
Dylan Morris is going to break that trend. When Dylan Morris is the Sun Belt Player of the Year, he is going to be a round 3 draft pick.
You know who really might break the trend?
Who?
Our boy Dobbs.
He might, yeah. And I really can't wait. Can't wait for us specifically on Twitter when he gets drafted. Yeah, Jukes in the pros.
We molded him.
We'll do that on our Twitter. You come back in a year. We will definitely be hyping him up as a
oh my god,
JMU built. Hell yeah.
But I'm also claiming Wells, right? I'm claiming all of them.
I'm claiming D'Angelo. I know he played here 1 year, but Antoine Wells at least played 2, I think.
Yeah. Also, after the coaching change, like scheme changes, coaching changes for a guy like Tucker, especially, they fit pretty well in what they're doing defensively there, that scheme. So might want to play for Pat Coons again.
Nova said Io Adei has an outside chance of getting drafted with a great season. Yeah, he does. I mean, shoot. I'm trying to think of other. Cam Ross maybe has a chance.
I did my little way too early. Some guys. I think I had Ross, Adai, and I put your guy Morris, and then Dobbs. And then I put some other names. They've got plenty of guys who, like, if you have a really good year. And then the important thing that I think people overlook a lot, like, you got to test well. Like, if
especially
you're,
from schools like JMU.
yes, you're a G5. Like, I think Sproles was saying it was windy on the pro day and he struggled with the 40. He ran like a 4.6 or 4.7. Like, that's going to hurt you, right? If you're a receiver. So that's the kind of stuff that if you go out and you can run a great number or put up great explosive numbers, it changes a lot.
Well, even Quinyon Mitchell, and two Quinyon Mitchell references in one JMU Sports News podcast.
Mitchell, man.
The only reason he was considered, not everyone, he wasn't a consensus CB1. The only reason he was a CB1 or 2 along with Terrion Arnold was because of what he did at the Senior Bowl. It wasn't the fact that he was the best defensive back in the MAC for let's say 2 years in a row, not allowing anyone to throw towards him. No, they were like, well, that's lesser competition. And we would have a better 1-to-1 comparison at the Power 5 level. But what he did against Marvin Harrison Jr. at the Senior Bowl is why he's cornerback 1. That's just the type of BS that group of 5 teams and schools have to go up against, where when you go to Indiana, you don't have that.
Jimmy Moreland was locking down Hunter Renfrow after he had that incredible college career with the clutchest catches ever at the Senior Bowl. It was cooking. I was like, wow, this Moreland kid, 7th round. He balled out, goes in the 7th round, and then has a few years in the NFL. I guess he's still bouncing around. But it's hard to make an NFL roster. I don't think people realize how hard it is to get drafted, make a roster. You got to play well, you got to test well, and then when you get there, because they're trying to find guys, if you play offensive guard, they want you to lock up Aaron Donald, right? You're retired now, but you have to go against way better. It's way different than a coastal backup D tackle that you're going to manhandle. You got to be able to hold your own against elite freaks.
Yeah, and you mentioned this earlier. Something that isn't, I forgot my point. Oh, you mentioned it earlier. JMU has done a really good job at finding these lower level FCS guys, maybe guys that don't get a lot of PT at a higher up P5. They bring them in. Eric O'Neill, Terry Lockett, 2 guys on the defensive line kind of come to mind with that. There could be potential contracts on the horizon where if JMU starts to do really well at that, you can find those lower end guys, lock them in for 2 or 3 years or 4 years on a contract. And that could be the way that JMU stays competitive in the overall national landscape.
Yeah, Surratt is just, from what I had read, doing very well at Indiana. Had a nice spring game and just seems all reliable again in the Big Ten now. The fact that he was at St. Francis was absurd.
And he's going to be one of the best Big Ten receivers. The fact that Antoine Wells was in the FCS and is arguably one of the top receivers in the SEC is just
so
insane.
dumb.
So insane.